You're ready to start working in Canada, but every time you try to figure out the visa process, it just gets more complicated. The rules keep changing, the requirements aren't clear, and you're worried one small mistake could delay everything. I'm Evelyn Ackah, a Canadian immigration lawyer with over 25 years of experience helping workers and employers navigate the visa system the right way. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process to get a Canada work visa in 2025. What's changed, what to expect, and how to avoid common pitfalls so you can move forward with confidence, avoid unnecessary delays, and get to Canada with your work permit in hand. Let's dive straight into the 2025 process. Right now, if you're looking to move to Canada for work, you're in exactly the right place. The process in 2025 is more straightforward than you might think, but it's a decision that affects your future and your family. So it has to be done right. Let's walk through each step. I'm going to give you a clear, step-by-step roadmap using real examples from my own clients so you know what to expect at every turn. Step 1. Decide which work permit you need. Canada doesn't have a single work visa. Instead, there are different types of work permits, and choosing the right one is absolutely critical. In 2025, the two most popular categories are the employer-specific work permit and the open work permit. Let me break these down for you. Employer-specific work permit, this is what most people think of when they think of work permits. You need a job offer from a Canadian employer. That employer usually needs to get something called a labor market impact assessment. The LMIA shows the government that no Canadian worker is available for the job, so they can hire from abroad. They get special permission for that. For example, last month I worked with Amarjeet from Pakistan. He secured a job as a software developer in Toronto. His employer applied for and received a positive LMIA, and that document was attached to Amarjeet's work permit application that was submitted at the Canadian consulate in Pakistan. The whole process took about 4 months, but Amarjeet started work in Canada right on schedule. The other work permit is the open work permit. This allows you to work for almost any employer in Canada. These are rarer, but there are ways to qualify. If you are the spouse of a skilled worker or an international student in the right educational program, you may qualify. Sometimes international graduates can get an open work permit as well through the post-graduation work permit program. Maria came to Canada to study in Vancouver, and when she graduated in 2024, she applied for a postgraduate work permit, which is open, meaning no job offer needed, and she started working right away in her field. Before you apply, you need to know which permit is right for you. That's your foundation. Get this wrong and your application could be refused, wasting months of your time and money. Step 2. Gather your documents so that you get what you need in 2025. Documentation is where a lot of my clients get nervous. But if you start with the right checklist, it's manageable. In 2025, the Canadian government is focused on digital, straightforward applications. Here's what you likely need, but always double-check the official IRCC instructions regarding your situation or contact me. You'll need a valid passport, and you must have it longer than 6 months validity. I would say get a new one if you're close. A job offer letter if your employer-specific work permit, or an LMIA if you need it for the job. Recent photographs, passport size, police clearance certificate from every country you've lived in for 6 months or more since age 18. Medical exam results, sometimes depending on the job or your country of origin, and proof that you meet the job requirements like diplomas, certificates, or work experience letters. Proof you have enough funds to support yourself as well, unless your employer is covering all your costs. I had a client recently, Jake, from Ireland, who applied for a work permit as a cook. He forgot to include a reference letter from a previous employer showing his work experience, and that delayed his application by 2 months because IRCC emailed him for extra documents. Learn from Jake. Double check your checklist and make sure you have everything in your application. Also, in 2025, almost all applications are now online. The IRCC portal is streamlined, but make sure to scan your documents in good quality and double-check legibility. Bad scans or missing pages are still among the top reasons for delays or refusals. Step 3. Secure the job offer and LMIA, or you qualify for an open work permit. Here's where the rubber meets the road. For most, the hardest part is getting a genuine job offer from a Canadian employer. Scams are unfortunately common. If someone is asking for money to sell you a job offer, there's a huge red flag and it's illegal in Canada. Only your employer, not you, can apply for the LMIA. They must prove they posted the job in Canada, they couldn't find a local person for the job in Canada, and then you meet all the requirements. The government will review the whole LMIA application, and if they approve it, your employer gets a positive LMIA, and you can use that for your work permit application from abroad. For open work permits, you don't need a job offer or an LMIA, but you do need to qualify, usually by being a spouse of an international student or an international student graduate, or under other programs like the International Experience Class program, which is the working holiday program, which is popular among young adults from certain countries coming to Canada for a year or two. Let me walk you through a real scenario. My client, Tara, from the United Kingdom, wanted to work in Canada. She discovered she was eligible under the Working Holiday Program in 2024. No job offer was needed. She just had to prove her age, her nationality, that she met basic health, and she had the funds required. She had her open work permit in less than 2 months after applying through the IEC portal. If you're unsure, talk to your employer, check the IRCC website, and consider a consultation with a professional like myself. This step can make or break your application. Step 4. Submit your application. Timing and details matter in 2025. When you're ready to apply, timing is everything. For most work permits, you'll apply online through the IRCC portal. Make sure you fill out every field accurately. A single wrong answer can get your application returned or delayed. Upload all supporting documents in the proper format. Pay the correct fees. For 2025, the standard fee for most work permits is $155 Canadian plus $100 Canadian if you're applying for an open work permit. Double check before you hit submit. I've had clients rush and miss uploading their police certificates. Then they have to wait weeks for IRCC to ask for it, or they wait weeks to get a refusal because something is missing. Here's something important for 2025, biometric collection. If it's your first time applying, you'll likely need to visit a visa application center to submit your fingerprints and photo to capture your biometrics. This is mandatory for almost everyone and can add a few weeks to your timeline. So book your appointment as soon as you get the request letter from the consulate. One of my clients from India applied in January for a general laborer position. He waited 3 weeks for a biometric appointment because the local centers were backlogged after the holidays. His advice for you: book the earliest appointment you can get and keep checking for cancellations, and you may need to travel to get it done sooner where you can find an appointment. Step 5. Wait for a decision and what happens after approval. Now you wait. Processing times depend on your country and type of application, but in 2025, most employer-specific work permits are taking 8 to 16 weeks. Open work permits often come faster, especially for spouses and graduates. You can check current processing times on the IRCC website. They update them weekly. During this time, IRCC might email you for more information or to schedule an interview. Respond as quickly as possible because you don't want delays to add weeks or months to your process. When your work permit is approved, you'll get a port of entry letter, sometimes called a letter of introduction. Bring this with you when you travel to Canada, along with your supporting documents. The border officer will review everything and stamp your passport, giving you your work permit. Here's a pitfall I see every year: people arriving with missing documents. Don't be that person. Bring your port of entry letter, your job offer, your LMIA if relevant, proof of funds, and any other relevant documents. Immigration officers are thorough, and mistakes at the airport can turn a celebration into heartbreak. Let's pause for a success story. Just last month, my client Eduardo from Brazil landed in Montreal. He had every document ready, and the officer told him he wished every applicant was as organized as Eduardo. He started his job within a week, and now he's working towards permanent residency. That's the power of doing each step properly. Common mistakes to avoid in 2025. Let's talk about the mistakes. Here are a few I see over and over. Not checking the expiration date on your passport. If it expires too soon, you might only get a short work permit. Renew it before applying if you can, so you can get the full term of your 1, 2, or 3-year work permit. Using fake or altered documents. Never do that. Canada's system is now very sophisticated, and they are focused on fraud prevention. Fraud leads to bans. Paying someone for a job offer, you cannot do that. Only trust registered recruiters or employers and never pay for a guaranteed job. not updating IRCC about any changes in your situation. For instance, if you got married or you changed employers or you had a baby. Assuming you start work right away, you must wait until you're in Canada and have that work permit in hand before you can start. What happens after you get your work permit? After you arrive and start working, keep these things in mind. Stick to the terms of your work permit. If it's employer specific, you can only work for that employer in the role specified. If you want to change jobs, you usually have to apply for a new work permit. Keep track of your permit's expiry date. Most people can extend their work permits as long as they're still eligible, but don't wait until the last minute. If you're thinking about staying in Canada permanently, start planning early. Many workers go on to apply through Express Entry or their provincial nominee programs for permanent residence. Key changes for 2025. There are a few updates in 2025 you should know about. More applications must be submitted online, with in-person paper applications being phased out slowly. Canada is focusing on job sectors with the biggest shortages: technology, healthcare, skilled trades, and agriculture. New pilot programs are expected in rural areas, so keep an eye out if you're open to working outside the big cities. Faster processing times for some sectors, but only if your documents are perfect and you meet the criteria. Final thoughts? If you follow these steps, you give yourself the best shot at a successful work visa in Canada for 2025. Remember, every case is unique and small mistakes can lead to big delays. If you're unsure about anything at all, reach out for help. It's much better to get it right the first time. You've just learned exactly how to get a Canadian work visa, step by step, for 2025. If your application is refused, don't panic, but you do need to act quickly and smartly. My next video is called Canada Visa Refused. Here's exactly what to do next. If you want to protect your future and avoid common traps that cost people their chance to work in Canada, make sure you watch that video right now. See you over there.